With Thought Bubble not happening this year, they've asked us to try and do something online that we could do for people that are missing the show. I think we're all going to miss the show this year. It's one of the best shows that we have. And yeah, I don't normally do a lot of drawing videos. I've done a few over lockdown, but I'm not very good at talking and drawing at the same time, so they've ended up more talking than drawing. So for this one, I'm going to try and just draw something for you and try and mention, you know, things along the way that come into mind as I draw it. But generally, I'm just going to be inking a new DC cover. So yeah, I got contacted by DC about doing a cover for a slightly futuristic Superman. I think they have a new line of a few characters with a kind of slightly futuristic kind of take on them, and different costumes and a different kind of thing. So so yeah, and they sent me some reference, which looks like, let me see, hang on, which looks like this guy. Quite different to the traditional Superman, no cape, a little bit younger, but still. One of the things I quite like about taking on images and covers like this, there's another piece they sent as reference. One of the things I quite like is that it's with a suit like that, it's quite a good opportunity just to use the chance to just draw a figure, just because I love drawing bodies, I love drawing anatomy, I love making muscles, you know, look correct. And they wanted like a homage to Action Comics #1, which, you know, has been done quite a few times, Superman holding the car above his head, but they wanted something a bit more cropped in. So I thought, well, I can just do, hopefully, you know, a nice drawing of the new character, you know, kind of use it as an opportunity to enjoy the anatomy of the figure. And so the sketch is fairly straightforward, nothing too, that's the ink drawing that I did. You know, this is going to be darker up here, so actually I've got the sketch coloured so you can get a sense of what it's going to look like towards the end. So that's, you can see that okay. That's sorry, the light's reflecting on my iPad, but that's a coloured sketch. That's what I sent to DC. That was approved. I just used the sketch that I did, scanned it in, threw on some quick colour and some quick digital background of kind of futuristic kind of cityscapes that have sort of kind of taken from bits that I've done before, kind of pieces, some concept art pieces, some cityscapes, and I just kind of cobbled them together just very quickly on the sketch to get a sort of sense of a futuristic kind of cityscape behind this new Superman. He looks a little bit zombie here, so I'm gonna probably fix that on the final. He's not gonna probably have blue skin. He looks a bit kind of slightly kind of creepy, but I don't know. I kind of like the sketch, and I you know, I'm looking forward to taking it to final. So so he looks a bit like a zombie right now. Hopefully he won't in the final. So yeah, so and you know, sometimes when you do a layout for a sketch that you quite like, that it has some nuance that you like, I was quite happy just to blow this up, basically to print it out larger, blow it up, and basically trace it onto the artboard for inking, and that's pretty much it. You know, not all covers are as straightforward as this, but I'm just gonna, as I say, try and use the opportunity to enjoy drawing the figure. Yeah, I'll try and mention things that come to mind as I go along. I kind of want to keep, even though the sketch is pretty rough, I kind of like the feel of it. There's something about it that I quite like, so I'm going to be trying to just kind of keep the feeling of the sketch if I can. And I'll probably end up, because it'll have a digital background, I'll probably end up incorporating actually the lines from the sketch into the final piece. I quite like doing that, where you've got the final more kind of controlled drawing, but but if you put the sketch on top with a kind of maybe a low opacity, so the lines become grey, it can just give a bit of movement and fluidity to the final piece that I quite like. So I've been doing that more and more recently, and I'll probably do that with this one too. With the face, I think. Quickly, I like keeping sort of a bit of energy in the lines, so it doesn't feel too sort of staid and kind of still, you know, especially with a piece like this where the pose is, you know, there's not a lot of, well, I was going to say there's not a lot of dynamism in the pose. He's actually holding up a car, so there is some kind of, you know, what's called dynamic tension, like the body should feel like it's kind of doing something and exerting itself, but he's actually just kind of stood there. So I'll try and get a bit of movement into the lines while I'm doing it. Draw Superman. I find him really hard to do actually, because he's so clean, and my style is often a bit more, it just sort of suits maybe the darker characters like Batman a little bit better, but combined with the futuristic element of this, I thought it'd be quite good fun to do. this S symbol is basically the same on this costume, but it kind of goes over his shoulders, kind of, it's a bit wider, but I like a big fat Superman symbol, so you can still do the traditional symbol just with a different shape on the body. It's not actually thunder and lightning outside. I put on Blade Runner ambience on YouTube because I'm going to be doing a futuristic city, but if it just sounds like a weird storm happening outside, I'm sorry. So I love getting the chance to try and get the anatomy correct. Really, I mean, I'm not the best at it, but it really annoys me when superheroes are drawn with bad anatomy, when that's really their kind of currency, you know, that they should look great in what's essentially a skin-tight suit most of the time. Nodules of the chest muscle, the way it sits into under the arm. And this pen is slightly dropping away. I think I tend to press quite hard when I'm drawing. This is quite a new pen. I just use a rotary art pen. I've used this for, well, these types of pens for basically every comic page I've ever drawn, but I think I tend to press quite hard, and this one's new because the nib tends to split a little bit, and you know, the line's a little bit too kind of unwieldy for a comic size page. But so I bought this new one, but it's actually, I think I might have damaged the nib slightly. Let's see how it goes. You see there, when I pull this way, it kind of breaks up a little bit. Oh well. There's little nodules under the ribs. I'm going to be using my brush pen to kind of make quite quick, thick shadow lines along the bicep and the forearm, and these little nodules you get in your arm there. This is, yeah, just fairly quickly kind of outlining the sort of areas that I want to be blacking in. This pen's annoying me actually. Let's see if I've got another one. some templates. Mustn't forget to try and suggest some kind of costume over the top. Like, see again, you see so many superheroes that look like the costumes just kind of sprayed onto the skin. But you know, even if it's some kind of crazy, you know, kind of material, you'd still just have the tiniest suggestion of it. I think just adds to it a bit. Try and be bold with the leg lines, draw them in one go. They're going to be pretty much blacked out anyway, I think. Okay, that's pretty much as far as I go with the lines, bicep and tricep. I'm going to try and suggest the rest with my brush pen. One of the reasons I love doing traditional is that, you know, the sort of mistakes that you get using physical pens, it's a bit more risky, obviously, because if I tend to move the brush quite quickly, and sometimes you just get a little magic kind of suggestion of form, which is kind of what I'm aiming for. But other times, of course, you're at the mercy of the ink and the brush, so it's always slightly not nerve-wracking, but you've got to be aware that it's to try and keep it on course. But I'll do a bit of the face first before going into the body. So there's a parallel pen, it's called. It's got a steel square nib, can you see that? I try not to use them too much because they're really good fun to use, but you've got to sort of be careful of them. But they're really good for kind of cutting in and just suggesting a bit of sharp, almost kind of more graphic kind of quality to the lines. So I'm going to do a bit of that here on the muscles before I use the more kind of fluid brush on them. I know it sounds strange to say like they're too much fun, but there's been a couple of covers actually where I've just got carried away using this pen, and then when I finished it and looked back at the piece, and I don't know, there was something missing, there's something lacking about it for me. So, and I think it was because I just used too much of this kind of line. So, but I think it's helping on this figure right now, so I'm just going to carry on for a bit. almost run out. So here I'm just trying to sort of draw almost like around the muscles with this, just to give them a little bit of suggestion of form and place in the figure. But again, I don't think it's going to need too much because I'm going to be blacking out quite a lot of it. But still, see, I'm getting carried away with this pen. Okay. Again, when you're inking, you always be thinking about the form underneath, the hip bones, the way they sit around the abs, and the rib cage with the muscles on top. It kind of, I sort of find if I'm just aware of that stuff as I'm doing it, it kind of helps the way that the pen moves around, because you know, if you studied anatomy and musculature and stuff, you know, it's kind of in there. So, but often when you're drawing, I find the most enjoyable moments are when you sort of let go of it and you're just sort of in the moment and you're just really enjoying what you're doing. So that's what I'm kind of aiming for, is to try and kind of not think about it too much, but just be aware of kind of, you know, the form of the figure underneath. And I'm trying to, seems constantly with this stuff I do, I'm trying to strike the balance between it being kind of a bit more expressive and kind of emotive, but also kind of hopefully sort of sharp and solid at the same time. pens. I've got 2 fat marker pens. One is a bit run out, that's that one. That'll give me a nice dry brush texture, and I've got one that's pretty much brand new that gives me a solid line. So, but it still breaks up when you move it really quickly across the page. So I'm going to kind of suggest the car with this. I'm not going to put any detail in the car really. The comic has a very large logo that DC have warned me to keep a large area free for the logo, so I try not to put detail in any area that might be covered by cover lines or logo or barcodes or whatever, because it just makes the design sort of unnecessarily busy and just you know, detracts from the art basically. So I'm just going to do a few kind of dark areas and I'll make this area darker and when I come to colour it in Photoshop, which I can't record, I'm afraid. You're only going to get to see the inking part, but you know. So there, I might put a shadow actually of the car. Get a few of these marks in. Yeah, so they give a kind of like a, you see it's got a bit of sort of almost direction in the line, the way that you sort of throw it forwards gives a bit of direction, a bit of dynamism, and because the figure's holding up the car, I'm going to try and sort of, you know, suggest the kind of the energy of the figure going outwards with some of these marks. Just the shadow of the car. smudge. It's quite good fun at this stage though, when you can just kind of just play about with it and just add to it, if you, or hopefully not muck it up. But yeah, and I find having different pens just kind of, it can loosen you up a bit. If you get a bit stuck on something, you can just pick up a different pen and it'll do something a little bit different, and it's an enjoyable element to have. Now, my only decision is whether to knock out a bit of the figure in black because of the car up above. It'd be much safer to do it digitally, because then if it goes wrong, I can get rid of it. But I don't know, seeing as I'm on video, I feel like I should maybe take the plunge and do it here. It might go completely wrong and it might ruin it. I'm just trying to, if I squint my eyes and picture it, I might just throw some black over there in the hope that it just makes it a bit more atmospheric, basically, you know, a bit more dramatic. Let me think. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go for it. So, like, if you sort of half black out a face, it can look really good. I'm gonna go kind of here. And hope, actually, yeah, see, already that's all right. That's kind of feels like you feel there's something above him. Yeah, okay, phew. See, I would have totally done that digitally if it weren't for being on camera right now, but I'm pleased I've done it on the original. Do I go across the figure as well? Can you guys shout through the microphone, yes or no? I'm gonna go for it. So again, even when I'm doing this, if you try and think about the form of the muscles and the way that you put the shadow across, and it will just hopefully help bring out the figure as well as the atmosphere. Even if it's blacking it out, you can kind of add to it. Let's see. I am alright with that. Okay, let's bring it down here a bit as well. The Superman symbol too much, but right. That's lucky. Okay, that's pretty, I mean, I'm pretty close to, you know, the actual inking doesn't take too long. I want it to still have a bit of sort of vitality and everything, and a lot of the heavy lifting will be done in Photoshop to kind of bring it together and sharpen it up and tighten it up. But I'm sort of alright with the way this figure's looking, so I want to avoid sort of fiddling with it just because I'm on camera and feel like I should take longer on it. I want to just show you what I'd normally do before going on to the next stage. Just a couple of little. So great on Tommy's on 6-packs. all over a little bit. There as well. Okay. I'm sort of alright with that. I think this would be where I'd get it to before scanning in, so I won't fiddle too much. You know, it doesn't, my inking itself doesn't take too long, but like any cover, you know, the time spent coming up with a concept, though actually in this instance DC suggested the Action Comics concept, but still. Yeah, I'll scan it in there and colour it basically. I'll probably use quite a lot of the sketch, I think, that I showed you earlier. Let me just get it again. Probably some of the colouring elements as well. Let's see if you can see that. But for now, I would say that's done. So thanks a lot for watching, and thanks for supporting Thought Bubble. You know, it's been a funny year for everyone, and conventions have taken a real hit, so I know how much they all appreciate you tuning in and supporting the online version of it, and hope to see you all next year.